Yes, I have my first question here from Pierre in Dallas, Texas. So he says, I changed from H4 to F1 by change of status. I am now outside the US. Can I re enter using a valid H4 visa instead of getting an F1 visa?
Okay, can you say again? So the person has a change from H4 to F1,
Yes, sir.
right? And that is outside the country. Put a
Yes.
summary of the question on the screen if you have it, so
All
that
right, sir.
those who are watching us at home also can be watching. Thank you so much. So, all right. We changed from H4 to F1, and now it's outside the country. So he has a F1 with him. Can he re-enter using his H4 visa instead of getting an F1 visa? Prayer, I would say possibly yes, if your H4 is still valid and you otherwise qualify for admission in H4. But you said you have changed your status. So a change of status from H4 to F1 that is approved by immigration is only effective while you remain in the United States. Once you depart, that change of status that you got in that I-539 form that you completed does not guarantee you re-entry in F1 status. To return as an F1 student, you will normally need to go and stamp it on your passport at the embassy in your country. You need a valid F1. You can't come in just because immigration has changed your status in the US, okay, and you want to come back into the country, you need to have the F1 stamped on your passport. But if you seek admission using your valid H4, the Customs and Border Patrol, they may admit you in H4 status, provided you continue to qualify as an H4 dependent, meaning that your husband or your spouse or whoever you qualify for the H4 dependent on, or your parent, continue to be in H1 status. Because if they are no longer, then you may have major problem. So if you are admitted in H4 status, you will no longer be in F1. See, this is a little bit, they sound complicated, but they are not. If you come into the country with H4, then you are no longer in F1. And you will need to comply with the rules applicable to H4. So you can't blow out and cold. If you change from H4 to F1 and you travel outside the country, you will need to stamp that F1 on your passport before you come back. But because you had an H4 that had been stamped on your passport before that has not yet expired, yes, you can try to get that to come in. But if you run into a stubborn CBP, I call it Border Patrol. I don't like using abbreviations for non-lawyers. Now, if they then ask you a question, you want to try to enter with your H4 visa, then they ask you, because they will have it on their record now, and you will see that you have changed from H4 to F1. So they're going to ask you, why didn't you go and get the F1 stamp on your passport? Even though you are still technically under H4, if your principal under whom you got the H4 is still there, then you may run into problem right there. So before traveling, discuss your plans with your designated school official and an immigration attorney, since changing your status could affect your academic program and any employment authorization that you have under them, because the very big part of your immigration survival is your work permit. So you want to discuss this thing thoroughly. This is not something you just ask in a casual show like this, because it's very detailed. I have to look at so many moving parts. And any lawyer you talk to, they're going to look at several moving parts before giving you a definitive advice. But it's always risky if you change your status from one level to the other, and then you go outside the country and you want to come back with the status that you are changed away from. They may let you in, but the status you just changed to before you travel, you no longer have, like the F1. You're not going to have that anymore. Then you're back to your H4. So, and hopefully you are maintaining the rules of the H4, if you have work permit on there and all of that stuff. It's a bit complicated. But it's a good, I'm happy you asked that question. You want to be a bit more thorough by taking a step further, either book an appointment to come and see me on Zoom for us to talk about it a little bit more deeply, or meet with a lawyer that is close to you, wherever you are, if you really don't want to book a call with us. I hope that helps.